All right, here we go. Everything off your desk, please. Everything off your desk? Let's get started. Okay.
I can't still. I don't know what to do.
Scroll down.
It's not working though.
Are you scrolling?
Honestly,
give him the
I
mouse.
am.
You got slam out. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Don't slam, don't.
There we go.
Oh, it worked. Okay. Okay. So I asked him what he was doing around this time in the war, and
Who did you interview?
okay. So yeah, it was my great uncle Denny on my mom's side, so my maternal side. And he told me that before he even got out of high school, he chose to enlist himself actually, so he wasn't drafted, because he said that he kind of felt kind of lost, didn't know what to do after high school, didn't want to go to college, so he just chose to enlist because he's very patriotic and felt like it. So he flew to San Diego and had his first night of boot camp, October 9th, 1966. And he said when he first got there, he kind of felt lost, like he didn't really know what to do. He was just kind of standing around like after getting out of the airport, and he didn't know where to go, or he didn't have anyone to guide him basically. And I asked him kind of what was going through your head at that moment in time, like what were you thinking? And he just told me I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to do basically. So he was doing what he thought was right, and yeah, he chose to enlist. And when I asked him this question, he basically just gave me the answer, oh, I just thought I had to protect our country from communism and communism from spreading. So that was kind of all he knew. I mean, he didn't really know much more than that, just do what was right and fight communism. And he got a high test score as well, so he could choose what branch of the military he was in on his like physical exams and tests and stuff. So he chose to go to the Navy, and he really wanted to become a jet mechanic specifically. That's just what interested him. And his recruiter told him, actually, you can't become a jet engineer because you have glasses and you have to have perfect 20/20 vision to become a jet mechanic. And then later on, after working for months, just like cleaning the barracks, basically he was just a janitor at the time. And he spoke to someone about it, like, I really wish I could become a jet mechanic. That's what he really wanted to do. And the person responded like, well, what's stopping you? And then that's kind of how the whole lie came out. And it's like, oh, well, I could have become a jet mechanic if I wanted to, so maybe the recruiter was just in a bad mood that day or something. Yeah, I don't know, but I thought that was kind of interesting, pretty noteworthy.
So that's him.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's him right there on the aircraft carrier, and I can't, okay. And I asked him, how do you feel about it? And he said that he just thought the U.S. was doing what was necessary for it to do. It had to draft people, and he accepted that. He was okay with it. And when I asked him if anyone else he knew if they were drafted or anything, he said he didn't know many people that were drafted, but a lot of his friends in high school and stuff, to try to get out of the draft or to try to get out of going to Vietnam, they joined the National Guard instead. But actually, they had it worse then, because when the U.S. deployed the National Guard, they were sent and they didn't get to choose where they were at and stuff like that. So they were in the middle of the jungle, really like fighting and stuff. Really, they had it the worst. They had it horrible. And because he chose to enlist and he chose the Navy, he got to he was off in the water. So he was not safe per se, but he had it better than them. And I asked if he thought it was like unfair in any way, and he mentioned that he thought it was kind of unfair to lower income families in general, whether they were black or white or whatever, just because of like the college deferments and stuff. So kind of what we talked about too. Yeah, once again, he kind of just repeated himself. He said that he just believed his purpose was to serve the U.S., serve his country, do his due diligence, and he would do it all over again. And he also said that he didn't have like PTSD or anything, that he actually enjoyed every bit of it. He said that when I asked him how he felt about it, which kind of surprised me because I was expecting it to be more kind of this sad environment in the room when I interviewed him, but he was like, I loved it, like I would do it again if I could. And yep. And those are the bombs that they had on the ship. So then they would go in like 12-hour cycles and stuff. I think I talked about that on the next slide.
Put the mouse up on the screen.
Yeah, I don't. It's not scrolling. Oh, okay. So yeah, he just thought he was doing the right thing. He supported the president. He supported McNamara. Well, he just kind of he's a very patriotic man. So anything that the government basically said, he didn't necessarily agree with it, but because it's his country, he went and did it anyways, and he was happy about it to serve his country and be there for it and stuff. But he said around the 70s, he was like, as much as he enjoyed it and stuff, he was still kind of ready to go home. That he didn't really, like, he was kind of over with it as well. And he also told me the Golden Gate story that they were peed on and stuff when they were coming back. And I asked him, like, just a little bit, like, did you see it yourself? Like, did you get peed on for real? And he was like, nah, like, I was under deck. It was just my friends telling me about it, stuff like that. So, yeah, kind of what we talked about as well. But he told me that story as well.
I heard from about 30 different Navy guys.
Uh-huh.
And they never saw it.
Yeah. And he also told me about their cycles, their 12-hour bombing cycles. So some jets would fly out, go over. They were deployed like 100 miles offshore from Da Nang. They were like, yeah, out in the Tonkin Gulf somewhere. And they would just be doing raids and bombing missions and stuff. And, oh yeah, he also told me about that in 1968, when the whole demilitarized zone became a thing and stuff, that he kind of was under the impression that that would kind of stop the bombing altogether. But then, of course, it didn't, and they kept bombing and stuff, and he said that kind of stood out to him, so I thought that was noteworthy. Oh, and then also in 1970, he was also deployed on land in Da Nang, because most of the time he spent on his aircraft carrier, but he was on land there as well. Okay. Oh yeah, and then I brought up those questions to him about the examples and stuff and what he thinks of it, and he didn't really give me a direct answer. I think he was just a bit confused. But he just kind of talked about not liking the protest against the government. He felt there was a lack of support for veterans and stuff like that, and that just kind of really bothered him, and that he went to go give his service just so future generations, so his sons, his grandchildren don't have to, is what he said. Here basically didn't give me a very big answer either. But he did tell me about a story after I asked him this question, where in the barbershop where the men would go to get their hair cut all the time and stuff, every time they were deployed on land in Da Nang, where there was a spy getting their hair cut, and someone just walked up to them just out of the blue and just shot them in the head and just like walked out. And he said that kind of stuck with him too, definitely. Because I mean,
somebody walked in and shot the barber?
No, not the barber. The guy getting his haircut, because he was a spy, and I thought that was definitely a highlight or noteworthy.
Those are the pictures?
Oh yeah. So those are his two buddies. Like, he told me one of the names, I forgot, where they would go get ice cream from these Vietnamese ladies, the shop owners, and I thought that was pretty cool pictures as well. And oh, he also expressed to me that he spent a lot of time wondering what happened to his South Vietnamese friends that he made there, like what happened to them after he left, and that kind of really bothered him for a long time too, and it kind of still bothers him to this day. And then I asked him for any other memories or stories like that, and then he told me a really kind of interesting story about this jet right here, 015, where he was supposed to go on that jet, and it was some mission where they were flying in Admiral into Da Nang or something like that, and then at like the last second, they took him off. They were like, we don't need you anymore, the seats are full or something like that. Anyways, after they flew off, the plane went missing for about like 2 or 3 days, and later on, the only thing they kind of retrieved was just like a body part from one of the guys. Like, that's all he told me. There was like, they found a body part and it got shot down. And he kind of felt like some survivor's guilt as well, because he, you know, in his mind, he was supposed to go on that plane. He was supposed to fly in that Admiral. And like, this guilt, he said it really like lived with him for decades and decades afterwards. Like, it really troubled him. And then sometime around the early 2000s or something like that, going through old records of some sorts. Anyway, he found one of the pilot's sisters and found out that he was actually from Anaconda, Montana. So he ended up meeting up with the guy's sister that died, and he got this whole story from her that it turned out the jet all along, it was a decoy flight, so it was never even a real, they were never on a real mission, and there was never an admiral on board in the first place. It was just kind of a distraction so that the actual admiral could get flown in on a different plane, and just, it was like a distraction, so to say. And that kind of helped him a little bit, I think, and it's like just to figure out what happened, to get some closure and stuff. But he said that that's one of the moments from the war that he didn't enjoy, and that really stuck with him. And also, his boat got hit a couple times by missiles and stuff, and that the Chow Hall one time got a direct torpedo or missile strike to it, and that a lot of the South Vietnamese like caregivers and like the cafeteria people and stuff, that there were a lot of casualties there.
Was that the missile? Was that the name? Could that have been?
That could have been in the name. Maybe I mixed that up. I don't know, but a Chow Hall was hit and people died. And yeah. Oh, and the plane being on fire. Yeah, he told me he got a medal for it as well. I should have put the picture in, but that because that's what he spent most of his time doing. He was like refueling jets and making sure they were like good to go and ready to take off and stuff. And that one guy, he like dropped something into the wires with like gasoline, and a fire just like exploded into flames on the middle of the boat, which is like real danger as well. And that he had to put that out and stuff, and that kind of stood out to him as well. And he was really happy that he got like a medal, some like appreciation for it and stuff. So yeah, those are the stories he told me. And the lessons he basically said was, don't have two countries test weapons using another smaller country. That, oh.
Okay, great.
And he says that he doesn't want to see war, but if war has to be, if it's a must, then to not do it half-heartedly, and to just go through with it, give all you got. So, yep, that's my presentation.
Good. And one quick question. So you said he was in Da Nang and on. But do you know anything about the plane, or did he tell you anything about it?
Which
The
plane?
The planes he was on. What did he have to do?
Oh well, Well, he wasn't a pilot. He wasn't flying,
He's
but
a crew chief.
I mean, mainly he told me he was just kind of refueling them and stuff. And I kind of skipped over at the start, but there's a picture of the aircraft carrier he was on. The USS Coral Sea, I think it was called. So yeah, I don't know the plane models exactly or anything like that.
Yeah, he went through a lot, but also wasn't actually on land. Of course, Da Nang, he was there for months. He was on land. They got attacked. All right, good job. Nice job. Did he tell you they jammed?
Huh?
That's what they did. Those planes were jammed.
Oh yeah, he did tell me that actually. Yeah.
They could air refuel planes, and they jammed. Do you remember radar? Does everybody remember radar? Let me show you real quick. I'll show you this. It's a good little story to tell you a little bit about it. Where's that plane at? All right, so really quick, let me tell you this real quick. So I'll show you a little story. Remember radar's radio waves? So a jamming plane, they would pack it full, they called electronic countermeasures, or ECM. And so they would try to guess what radio frequency their radar is. And then they would put out just that same radio frequency as much as they could out, just kind of set it on this wide, broad band. So any radar, all they would pick up is just this noise. Now, you know what they would have to do is just switch radar frequencies, so they would try to guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did tell me about that, and also that he remembers the day that his crewmate or whatever told him that they also have sensors for the jammers, that as soon as like a missile detects like a jamming signal, it locks right onto it, and that kind of messes with him a little bit. So.
Yeah, the surface-to-air missiles will fire right at the jammer. So you're a jammer, you're in real trouble. We still use them. I mean, everybody still uses them. That's pretty scary. And they're worthless. Not worthless, but they're these big, massive planes. The Navy wanted big bombers so they could drop atomic bombs too. Why should the Air Force have all the fun? And it turned out to be this massive plane that really had no purpose, but they spent millions of dollars on them. So they put jamming equipment on, and they could aerial refuel planes. But they got so heavy, every time they would hit the carrier deck, would smash the plane up. So they went to Da Nang online. That's how it was online. Good story. And so that's it. Good presentations. Nice job. Give everyone a nice little round of applause. Especially me, of course. Right? Let's come on. Yeah, thank you. No, very nice job. I really enjoy those. And I hope you like watching everyone do those. That's fun. So when we do like the next unit conspiracy theories and we do 9/11, you have to do more presentations. Same kind of deal. 9/11 is interview again. Conspiracy theories is research. You got to research the conspiracy theory, then it's yourself. The thing about 9/11 is there's a lot of people. 9/11 was so. All right, so I've been saving this, but no, I'm not kidding. I thought it was great interviews. Well done. Wait a second. Everybody, turn this up. This isn't the right worksheet.
I put my full legal name and social.
Oh no, I gave you the wrong worksheet. Pick on one. Anything for long term, pick all these up. Sorry, I made the wrong worksheet. So guess what we're going to do? Plan B. You're going to wait a second while I print new ones. I did one of those. I couldn't decide between two videos, so I thought I printed the wrong one.